Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you guys my review for The Walking Dead Season 8, Episode 3. And this episode is called Monsters. And this episode came out on November 5th, 2017. Overall, this was a decent episode. What I didn't like about this episode was it didn't really continue the storyline really in any way. It was just kind of an episode that was kind of going through the motions. And that's really what this season's kind of felt like. Um, so it's just weird. I think I've enjoyed this season maybe overall better than season 7, but it's been like a little bit better. You could definitely see that The Walking Dead really has gone down in quality based off this season, kind of in a way, because The Walking Dead usually is like really good in the beginning season, and yeah, it will slow down a little bit, but you'll still have some pretty good episodes. It feels like we're having some decent episodes, but we're not really having much storylines really happen. Like it just kind of feels like some of the characters are just there, and I think that's the problem with The Walking Dead right now is they've oversaturated the show with so many characters that it's really tough to give a shit about um, any of them. So I think that's really hurt this season. And that's kind of what happens when you have so many characters, because it's hard to fit everybody and give everybody a storyline. So I really don't like that about this season. There really wasn't like a main storyline that took place throughout this episode. It was really more of the same, where they went down and tried to take down Negan's men. And I would like to see something more. They did have a little bit of storyline that I did like in this episode, but it just kind of feels like the same thing. Um, and in a way, it kind of makes me wish that the Savior storyline would just end already because it just feels like we're not really having much storyline really happen. I get they want to have the main focus being like we want to take out the Saviors, but we don't having really much individual storyline take place. Um, so I didn't really like that too much about this episode. It was still a decent episode, though. It had some decent stuff on it. It had some good storylines. And I'm going to start it off with kind of where we left off from in the last episode when Rick and Morales were kind of having like this standoff, and Morales hold Rick at gunpoint. It was kind of interesting to kind of see Rick and Morales now because back when they saw each other in the in the way beginning in the first season, they were both completely different people, and they kind of touched on that. Morales even talked about Rick, and he's like, "You're the famous Rick from Alexandria," um, because obviously he had known that Rick was an enemy. I am surprised if they're just meeting now again, like they didn't meet in season 7. But I guess the saviors are so big that it really doesn't. Like the saviors are so big that I guess they wouldn't have really met. And I did like how they kind of brought up the fact that Rick kind of always really doesn't have a plan before he goes about any of his stuff because that's kind of the way Rick was in season 1. And um, I did kind of like the back and forth exchange they had, where Morales is talking about how he's not the same guy that he once was, and they're both not the same guys. They're both pretty much the same person. Where if Rick was in his situation, he would have just shot him right in the head, no questions asked. And he also started talking about how he ended up losing his wife and he losing his entire family. And he was a broken down man. He was just gonna become nothing. But then the saviors brought him in, and he became Negan because that's how he's thrived. Because Rick asked him if he was Negan, and I did kind of like the way Rick was acting. Rick kind of mentioned everybody that had been lost, and he mentioned everything that the saviors done, how they murdered Glenn right in front of him, and how he have to, how right in front of his pregnant wife, and how Rick's has got some morality. He's got a little bit of sense left in him, and I like this. This was a good overall. This was a nice exchange, and then eventually Morales tells Rick that yeah, so everybody around you has died, but you're just gonna be the officer friendly that's gonna join them, and um, because he says he's not gonna kill Rick because um, Negan told him that he wants Rick, Ken, Ezekiel, and Maggie alive because they're a big prize, and he wants to make an example out of them. But then Daryl pops up, and before Rick can stop him from murdering him, Daryl shoots him with his crossbow and murders Morales. And obviously, Rick was kind of pissed about this. And Rick's like, "Didn't you know who that was?" And Dale was like, "Yeah, of course I knew who he was." And um, yeah, they were Rick was upset about this. And then we find out that Morales radioed, um, you know, the other saviors, and they were coming in to, um, kill him. So Rick and Dale get into a shootout with a couple members of the Saviors, and eventually Dale starts to run out of bullets. So what Rick does is he shoots a fire extinguisher, and this causes like the all the like the stuff that comes out of the fire extinguisher. I guess it would be the water, like the steam, because of all the steam to come out. So they kind of have like the surprise advantage. So they end up killing people, pushing them down the elevator shaft. And I like that scene. That was pretty good. So yeah, I like this scene. This gets an up. It was good. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Um, I will kind of give it down that they kind of killed off Morales. I guess it made sense to kill him off. Um, but I really kind of wish they would have kind of kept him alive after all that time we had waited for him to come back. They just ended up killing him right off. So that was just weird. All right, and then what happened after this is as all this is happening, um, everybody on the outside, Aaron, continues their shootout. And then the Savior stopped shooting because the leader had called him in, which I guess was Morales in that case, because he was still alive when all this was going on. And they were about to go in and deal with Rick and Dale, but then the other members of the militia continue shooting at them. And then Aaron takes Eric, because Eric was been bleeding out, and Aaron apologizes to Eric because he realizes that this was a fight because he realizes that this was a fight that Aaron didn't belong in, and he pulled him into it. But then Eric says no, but now I wanted to be a part of this fight because everything is worth fighting for in this world. And he tells Aaron to go finish this fight. I can take care of myself. You have a fight to finish. And they say that they love each other and they kiss. And what happens is eventually they end up killing everybody, and Aaron goes back to see Eric later on in the episode, and then we see that Eric's not there, and we see that his blood's all over the tree, and then we see a group of walkers, and we assume that, well, I mean, I don't assume, but they don't really show us that it's Eric, but they show one of the walkers walking, and they pretty much telling us that it was Eric, and this obviously makes Aaron upset, and he wants to go murder it because he doesn't want to leave Eric like that, but one of the guys from the militia come up and tell him that we have to go. It's over. So obviously this made Aaron upset. This was a very powerful scene. I really enjoyed this scene. What will get it down, however, is they really should have done more to make Eric more of a main character for us, because it was really tough for us to care that he died because they didn't really show him a whole lot in this episode, in this show. And this is kind of one of the flaws about having too many characters, because it's so tough to get invested into a character, because I think Eric was a victim of that. And then what happens is Rick tells him that he finds out that there's no guns in this outpost, and they're gonna go back to Alexandria and stuff like that. And Rick takes Gracie, and Aaron offers to take her to the hilltop. So Rick lets her do that because that's what him and Eric were going to do anyways. And then Rick's also been taking pictures of all the damage he's done to the outpost. He did the same thing in episode in the season premiere. I'm assuming he wants this for memory purposes. There may be a bigger reason that we don't know that we're going to find out later on. but it's not like it does kind of show how like old school of a style because it's like one of those cameras that takes the picture and just prints out. I know, yeah, but prints out the photo like right away, and you have to wait like a few minutes for it to come in. Um, and it just kind of shows like how much we don't really use that stuff anymore because since they're in the apocalyptic world, they can't use their cell phones anymore to take the photos. So that just kind of shows how reliant we are with our cell phones. Um, then what happens is Rick and Dale are about to leave. Then somebody shoots at them, and Rick offers that he's not going to kill him because he realizes it's just that guy. He's not going to kill him if he gives him some information that he needs to let him take the car and leave. And the person doesn't think, the savior doesn't think that Rick's telling the truth, but Rick says, then I'm giving you my word. And that's all that's really good in this world. So then the person comes out and he tells them that the guns are at the west outpost. And then the person asks if he could take his car, and then Dale kills him. And this pisses Rick off. Like, he looked like pissed. And I'm assuming this is going to lead to some tension because it doesn't really look like Rick's been a fan of Dale just randomly killing people for no reason. Which I kind of like that part of the storyline. So then they're going to go to the west outpost. So I'm assuming that this is built that Rick is probably going to confront Dale about these about what he's been doing. So where he's just randomly killing people. You can kind of see Dale's point of view though, because he wants to kill the saviors after everything that they did to him in the last season when they had him held prisoner and stuff like that. So overall, I enjoy this part of the season. And then what happens is so that was pretty much everything that kind of took place in Rick's world. Let's kind of go over the other storylines that took place. What also happened is in this episode, I'm trying to think what happened. What else happened in this episode? Oh, so Jesus, Tara, Morgan are all leading other members of the Saviors to the hilltop, and Jesus, doesn't want to kill these people. And one of the members of the militia, I don't remember the person's name, tells Tara that once we get back, Maggie will know what to do with these people. And then Tara's like, oh yeah, Maggie will know what to do with these people, thinking that Maggie's going to say, that she'll kill them after everything that they've done. And then one of the members of the Saviors that we've known tells Morgan that, there's something different about him. It's the armor that he's wearing. He pretty much calls him a pussy for wearing that type of armor. So Morgan threatens to kill him. Because Jesus and Morgan are getting into this tension where Jesus doesn't want to kill these people, and Morgan says, you really want to leave these people alive after everything they've done. What I do like about this is it is kind of funny that Morgan's the one that actually wants to kill these people and Jesus is the one that's against it. Because in the last season, up until episode 12, it would have been the opposite. You could say it really doesn't make any sense that he flip-flops just like that, but I kind of like it in a way. Because Morgan, I think, is just really not all right in the head. So, I like this. So then what happens is a bunch of walkers are coming down from the hill, and they attack everybody, so they all have to kill them. And some of the members of the Saviors use this as a distraction so they can escape, and Morgan chases after them. And one of them falls over, which causes Morgan to be able to catch up to him. He shoots one of them, and he's just going to kill all of them. But then Jesus kicks his gun away, and Jesus tells them that this is not how we're going to settle this. There's killing people, and then there's peace, and we want to make peace with these people. And Morgan says, after everything they've done, you really want to try to live with these people because we're just like them, but we're the ones that go on. We're the ones that survive. And then this causes a fight between Morgan and Jesus, where Morgan's trying to kill Jesus, and Jesus is more defending himself than trying to kill Morgan. And then eventually Morgan gets the upper hand. He's about to take his keno stick and stab Jesus, but then he stops himself, and Morgan then admits that he isn't right in the head, but he admits that he's not wrong about this situation. And then Taylor tells him she doesn't think that he's wrong. But then Morgan says that Morgan leaves, like wants to be by himself. So I like this. I don't know what this means for Morgan. Because what I'm hearing, what's going to happen with Morgan is I'm assuming they're going to find a way to light him off somehow in this season, whether he's going to die or whatever, because he's going to be part of the Fear the Walking Dead show, or he already is a part of it this season because they want him a part of that because they want to do some sort of crossover. Because I think what they want to do is eventually they want to win that show with The Walking Dead, and I'm assuming once the Fear the Walking Dead gets more caught up with The Walking Dead, what will happen is Morgan will probably mention, hey, I knew these people when they see them, and Morgan either will kill them or he'll probably, they'll be a part of Rick's group. And that would be kind of cool. I would like that. And that reminds me, that's another show I got to get back into is Fear the Walking Dead. But maybe this is the way they're going to write Morgan off, or they're going to find a different way to write him off. Overall, I really don't care. So then what happens is back at the hilltop, Gregory arrives, and he asks everybody to open the gate, and they only open it halfway, and Maggie's pissed at him. Maggie's pissed that he tried to sell out the hilltop to the Saviors when everybody was trying to fight the Saviors. And, Gregory tried to bullshit by saying that he was just trying to make peace with them, but then Maggie just says, all you were was afraid. So Maggie's just going to leave him out there to die, but then Gregory apologizes, admitted that Maggie was right. So then Maggie lets him in, and then eventually Jesus comes out back with the Saviors, and Gregory and Tara and Maggie all don't want to leave the Saviors in there because they have wives and children and stuff. At least that's what Maggie's reasoning is. Obviously, Tara and Gregory are like, fuck you, we want to kill them. So Jesus then says that we can leave them in separate I'm trying to think of what they're called, campers, and have somebody keep guard for it. So then Maggie accepts, and I like this scene here. This is really kind of the last thing they did. I do kind of like the scene where Jesus doesn't want to kill these people because he's just a peaceful person, so I like it. So this will get an up. And then pretty much the last part of the season was Ken Ezekiel, Carol, Jerry, and everybody else from the Kingdom part of the militia is all making a plan to kill members of the Saviors since they realize that they're coming after them. So they make these plans and they just kill them off one by one. Ken Ezekiel continuously does the speech how we're gonna win, and I did like the speech was like they're coming after us, but yet me and Carol smile because we're prepared for them. And then they kill some of them off at an outpost, and eventually they think that they've killed all of them, so they were going to stab each one of them so they wouldn't turn into a walker. But then what happens is Ken Ezekiel realizes that there are more of them and starts shooting at their group, and it ends with them getting into a shootout and everybody protecting Ken Ezekiel. So that was kind of the end of the episode. Overall, like I said, this was a decent episode, but it really wasn't a good episode, and it wasn't a great episode. So if I had to rate this episode, I'm going to give it like a 6 out of 10. It was decent. Probably, I'll give it a D. It's a passing episode, but it's not really a good episode or a great episode. You probably could skip this episode, but however, the only reason I would recommend you really watch it is to probably see Morales die, because if you watch episode 2, that's really what you have to see. Because then you're going to be thrown off about what happens to him. So that's my thoughts there. Overall, like I said, decent episode. But this season really kind of needs to start picking up again. But we'll see if that happens. Overall, this was a decent episode. So that's pretty much it, guys. I forgot to do my plugs last time because I was distracted by the dog being here and stuff. So make sure you guys like, comment, and share this video so people will watch it. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel for more content and click on the bell so that way every time I upload a video, you guys will get the notifications for it. And make sure you guys subscribe to my CM Brothers channel for more content and click on the bell on there so that way every time I upload a video, you guys will get the notification for it. This Friday, I will be doing a Walking Dead Let's Play, ironically enough. I'm going to be doing a Let's Play for The Walking Dead on Friday, and I'll do it every Friday. So that's pretty much it, guys. Talk to you later.